Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today we are talking Thanksgiving. No, I am not about to do a Thanksgiving dinner from start to finish. I've already done one of those for you guys, and it even shows you how to do it on a budget. My video from last year, you can go check that out. Today's video, I am doing 2 appetizers, 2 good side items, a cocktail, and a dessert. All of them are easy, they're all budget friendly and family friendly. If that sounds interesting, hit that red subscribe button and let's go ahead and jump right on in. Now I will go ahead and say, none of these are any of my traditional family Thanksgiving recipes. They're not. I do have a video on that as well. These are ones that I have actually been digging around and looked for what is traditional in other people's homes, and then I have made the recipes to where they're easier for you guys and more family friendly. Like today I'm doing a macaroni and cheese recipe. We don't traditionally do macaroni and cheese on Thanksgiving in our house. We're going to this year, but I'm gonna show you guys the recipe we will be using. And the only thing in here actually that I use on a regular basis is a party dip, and it is my artichoke dip. That is delicious. That is one of the appetizers I'm gonna share. The first recipe we're gonna do is one of the appetizers. It is a cranberry meatball in the crock pot recipe, and I think that sounds really, really interesting to me. So, and if you don't wanna use this stuff in the can right here, it will increase these, because you're gonna need 2 cups of real cranberries, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of water, and some lemon juice, and cook that down. But I'm cheating and I'm using this. But otherwise, there's your 4 ingredients. The first thing I'm gonna do is mix everything for the sauce in a bowl first. That way it could just go on easy and you don't have to worry about trying to mix it in the crock pot. So put your whole can in a bowl. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar in the bowl as well. And then the recipe says half a jar of barbecue sauce. Doesn't specify the size of the jar or anything like that. So I'm just using an 18-ounce Sweet Baby Ray's because that's what we always use. I'm gonna use half of that. Looks about half. Sure, that's about half. And then just whisk this all together. Into a crock pot, just pour your bag of meatballs. This is not the family size, this is just the standard size frozen meatballs. And then take your mixture, once you get it all combined really well, pour it all over the top. Mix this up really good. Pop your lid on and turn this either on low for 3 to 4 hours or high for only 2 hours. The meatballs are cooking, and while they're doing that, the next thing we're gonna move on to is our dessert, because it takes an hour to bake and then an hour to cool. And we are going to make pecan pie, pecan, however you say it, that's up to you. But either way we're making it, it is so easy. And I know a lot of people are intimidated to make homemade pies. You will not believe how easy this one is. This right here is everything you need. That's it, it's so simple. Just a pie crust, you can make your own. This is refrigerated, you could do frozen. I usually do the frozen, they were sold out. 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons of butter, brown sugar, I believe a cup of that, I will double check. Some corn syrup, some vanilla, and then of course, if I didn't say already, the pecans, the pecans, whatever, and you do need the halves. But that's it. Yes, I just double checked. It is a cup of the brown sugar, a cup of this, a teaspoon of the vanilla, and a cup and a half of these. And you could either leave them in halves like this, or you could chop them finer. That's also your preference. First few steps, get your pie dough ready, however it says according to the package. Mine I have to put in a pan and bake it for I think 12 minutes. Go ahead and beat your eggs in a separate bowl and get that ready, and melt your butter. That's your first steps right there. One thing about making pies, know the size of your pan according to the pie dough. Standard pie dough is for a 9-inch pan. Mine is a 9.5. So I was able to get a pretty little edge, but as you can tell, it's not all the way on my pan where the pretty edge is pre-done for me. So yeah, I got it pretty on one side, but yeah, very derpy on the other. So this is gonna be a very rustic, homemade looking pie, but just know the size of your pan if you're buying pre-done dough. For the filling of the pecan pie recipe, you're gonna mix everything together but the pecans. So 3 eggs, pre-beaten, 1 cup packed brown sugar, okay, 2 tablespoons of butter melted, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Trick when you have to measure corn syrup or honey or anything, spray your measuring cup with cooking spray first, it'll slide right out. But 1 cup of corn syrup, light or dark, your choice. Okay. Get this all mixed together really, really well. As far as the pecan part of this goes, you can do this several ways. You can either take these just like this, mix them into there, pour it in your pie dough, and you're done. Or you can chop these up even finer, mix them in, same thing. Or you can pour these directly into the bottom of your pie pan, pour this on top. They will rise anyways, whatever way you want to do it. Or you can even save some of these to lay on top and make it even prettier. That's up to you. You need 1.5 cups of the pecans. The bag I got from Walmart says approximately 2 cups. I am still going to measure it out just for me, but that's on you if you want more or less. That's really up to your decision. Now you're just gonna take your whole filling and pour it in your crust. Okay. Then bake this at 350 for 50 to 55 minutes until the knife comes out clean. Moving on to recipe number 3, it is a caramel apple sangria. It sounds so good, and again, very few ingredients. First note, you can use whatever white wine you want. You want one more sweet, more not, that's up to you, but use a white wine. And then if you cannot find pre-frozen cranberries, you can use the fresh ones. Just pop them in your freezer like I did. Pick a pitcher, any kind of pitcher you have, slice up your oranges, dice up your apple. I mean, they're still decent sized chunks, but dice up your apple. Any kind of apple will do. This is a Red Delicious, but that's all I had. Gala, Honeycrisp, even like the really good one would be the Honeycrisp probably. And then measure out 1/2 cup of your frozen cranberries and put all of that into your pitcher. To your taste, you're gonna use cinnamon sticks, either 1 or 2, and throw them on top of the fruit. Then in goes 1/2 cup of the caramel specific vodka. 2 cups of the apple cider go in next. And lastly, in goes the entire bottle of the white wine. All right, give this whole thing just a little mix. And then go ahead and serve it over ice. And you can also store this in the fridge to keep it cold while you guys are drinking it. If you want the rims on the glasses to be a little extra special, just take the orange, the little bit that's left of it, run it around the rim, and then this is just some gold and white and silver little standing sugar sprinkles, and just dip it in there, and that makes your glasses pretty too. Here it is once it's all poured in a glass. It looks super pretty. I already sampled, I couldn't wait, but it is delicious. This one, seriously delicious. I was worried with the caramel vodka. No, so good. Everything just pairs together so well. Highly recommend this one. We're gonna go ahead and say cheers. Holiday season, here we go guys. Pie is done, we'll move on to the other appetizer, which is my artichoke dip. Basically, you just need a quartered can of artichoke hearts. Drain this. Parmesan cheese, I only use a 6 ounce, even though the original recipe was always 10, it was just too much. Garlic powder, you use between 1/2 teaspoon and a full teaspoon, that's on your taste. 8 ounces of mayo, 8 ounces of sour cream, and a whole block of cream cheese. First thing to make your life easier, leave this out and let it get softened first before you try to combine everything together. Otherwise, this is not gonna work. Second thing, use a bowl that you can use a mixer in or use a stand mixer. Whole can of drained artichoke hearts. I buy the quartered because it breaks up easier. An entire block of cream cheese that does not want to be friendly to me today. This is an 8 ounce container of sour cream. I'm going to take all this out, put it in the bowl, and then use this same container to measure my mayo in. No waste and no extra dishes. But 8 ounces of sour cream. That looks about what the sour cream looked like. So 8 ounces of mayo going in. I don't measure this, I just kind of eyeball it. So kind of about between 1/2 and a whole teaspoon. Almost all of this. Save just a little for the top, just to give it a little something extra, but almost all of this, put it in there. Once you've creamed it all together, this is the point when you will add salt and pepper to taste. This is just personally, but there is a lot of stuff in here with a good amount of salt. So I literally just put the tiniest little bit of salt in there. But I will do a pretty decent amount of pepper, just, kind of like that on the top, and call it good. And then you're gonna use an 8x8, 9x9, this weird one that's the smaller size of a 13x9. If you have a pretty dish, now would be the time to use it because you do serve this in the baking dish. Top this with the remaining Parmesan cheese. All right, looks just like that. Bake it at 350 for about 30-35 minutes so it's all like brown and bubbly. Moving into the first of the 2 side items, it is a macaroni and cheese, and it has a little topping on it. This is all of your ingredients right here, but I will walk you through them as far as what is actually going in the topping that goes on top and then what is actually in the cheese sauce. But with any macaroni and cheese, go ahead and boil these first, but whatever your box says is the al dente, take 1 minute off of that, and that's what you want to cook your noodles to. Now we're gonna mix the topping. Get a bowl that can go in the microwave that's pretty decent size. Put 2 tablespoons of butter in it and melt that first. In the bowl for the topping, I have the 2 tablespoons of butter melted. Now you want 2/3 of a cup of plain panko breadcrumbs. A 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. I go a little heaping as you can see, but a 1/4 cup. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/8 of a teaspoon of smoked paprika, not just normal smoked paprika. If you want to add heat, go ahead and put a pinch of cayenne, but I'm not doing that because of my kids, but if you want to add some heat, pinch of cayenne. Mix that all together and just set it aside for now. While I'm waiting for the pot to boil back there, I'm gonna go ahead and shred my cheese. I'm using an entire block of sharp cheddar, and I am shredding it myself because when you're making sauces out of this, like macaroni and cheese sauce, there are things that they put inside pre-shredded cheese. You don't wanna use that. You definitely wanna shred it yourself. Water's boiling, add your pasta in. Make sure you salt that water. You do not wanna use unsalted water when you're doing pasta. That's where it gets some of its flavor. Move on to a skillet. Make sure it has a high side because this is where you're gonna make your cheese sauce. 6 ounces of cream cheese. Add about 1 cup of your milk in there with it. Ooh, there's my dip. 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of ground mustard. All right. Cook this around until you can break up that entire block of cream cheese and incorporate it. When the macaroni's done, drain it and put a 1 tablespoon block of butter on it and mix it all around just so they don't stick together while you're waiting for the cheese sauce to finish. This is what the dip looks like when it comes out. It's not gonna be brown all the way across the top. It's not gonna do that, but you do want it brown all the way around the edges so that way you know it's done. So once you get the cream cheese down to like really little squishable pieces, that's when you bring the whisk into the game. Whisk it really good, get it nice and smooth, and then cook about another 4 minutes. Once it thickens up like that, now is when you're gonna slowly add the rest of your milk. And keep whisking, by the way. Now is when you're gonna whisk in your cheese about a cup at a time and make sure it's mixed in really well first before you keep adding more. Once your cheese sauce is about the consistency of heavy whipping cream, that's when you wanna add it back to your noodles. If it looks soupy, don't panic. That's how you're going to get a creamy mac and cheese instead of a dry mac and cheese. 13 by 9 that you've buttered, not sprayed, actually take butter and wipe it all over it. Pour it in, flatten it out, and I like to give it a little shake just to make sure it's all mixed in right. Stick your topping all over the top of this thing. 350-degree oven, 20 to 25 minutes until it's all browned and bubbly. The last recipe I'm going to show you guys is a Brussels sprout recipe. It is a Scotch whiskey type sauce on it, but those are all the ingredients you need right there, are just the Brussels sprouts, some butter, the whiskey, salt, pepper, and a little bit of sugar. First things first, you have to prep your sprouts because you're going to boil these. So what I pretty much do is I cut them in half, and then this little thing down here on the end, because it's disgusting, I take that little hard knot off, and then whatever kind of like falls off a little bit right there, I just let that go. And I'll do that to all of these. And any of them that are like epically huge like that one was, I mean obviously you could see the difference, I will go ahead and cut that into 1/4s or 1/3 depending on how big it is. Pot of boiling salted water, stick these in. Be careful. Boil these about 7 minutes or until they're as tender as you would like them to be. Once these are tender to your likings, drain them, leave them in the colander because you're going to use this pot for the glaze. Okay, once it melts, add 2 tablespoons of your Scotch whiskey, a pinch of white sugar, pinch of salt and pepper. And throw your Brussels sprouts back in. Okay, coat them in all of that goodness for about 30 seconds and these are done. See, there's no need to buy a big bottle of alcohol unless you're gonna use it for something else because I didn't even finish off one of these little ones. And there are the Brussels sprouts. The only thing I would think would make this any better is maybe some Parmesan cheese and a little bit of bacon. On the meatballs, which look really good. They smell great. And you can see the chunks of cranberry in there. And there they are on a plate. I am so excited about these. I've already sampled one. They are delicious. I just hope the rest of my family thinks the same because these are definitely on my list for this holiday season. To serve the dip, I like to either use like some broken up bread, some dip-in tortilla chips, club crackers, anything really works, but just put a spoon with it and let it go with anything really you want to dip in it. But there is a look at what the dip actually looks like. It's so creamy. This stuff is delicious. Here is the macaroni and cheese, fresh from the oven. It is still sizzling in this corner over here, but it just looks amazing. This way you guys can see it up close on the plate. It is still very creamy. You don't have to worry about it being runny. It's delicious. So apparently, according to Brianna, this tastes like KFC mac and cheese. So if you like theirs, you'll like this. All right, and there is the pie once it's cooled. It does sink a little, but it is completely solid, as you can tell. Did it cut pretty? No. Would I use refrigerated dough again? No, I would use frozen or homemade because it sticks really bad, but it is phenomenal. Like that flavor is so, so good. Couple things, when it comes to the Brussels sprouts, I would definitely add just a little bit more butter, maybe like a tablespoon or two. And if you want to go the extra mile, it would be delicious. Some of the bacon pieces, this is like a 2.5 ounce bag from Walmart, and make sure it's the real bacon pieces. Put these in when you start with the butter of the sauce. Oh man, I think that would just throw those completely over the edge. All right, but that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you got a bunch of new recipes to try for your family. Every single one of these is delicious, and no, you do not have to wait until Thanksgiving or just at Thanksgiving to eat any of them. That dip is one of our favorites that we use for any kind of social gathering we have at our house. That sangria I will definitely be making again this Thanksgiving, just saying. But if you did enjoy this one, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.